So what's up guys, I'm Aidan Scott here with Prodigy, and I'm going to be showing you what is in my bag and what's been in my bag for the 2023 season. So I'm a big woods guy. I like a lot of more understable stuff on hyzer flips and like hyzer to flat angles. So a majority of my stuff in my bag is on the understable side. But for my like slight hyzer release angle, most of it I'm flat straight. So first off, I'm going to start with my putting putters. I have two 300 plastic PX3s. They actually have this pretty sweet M3 stamp. A lot of people have talked about that and asked me if I putt with mid ranges. But I like a putter with a little bit of give, not like super duper stiff. And they're not as overstable as everyone would think. They got a good bit of straight flight. For those longer range putts, I have to put a little bit of anhyzer on them because they'll slide out of it at the end. But for the most part, they're pretty similar to a PA3. I like the slightly bigger bead so my finger can rest on it and I can really get that pop. So now on to my throwing putters. I have a 300 plastic PA3. This one is my slightly straighter PA3. It's got a little bit of flip to it. I don't use this much. It kind of falls in a little bit of an awkward slot between my flippier putter and my straighter putter, but I use it from time to time just whenever I'm not quite feeling it, or just need something to hold that tiny bit straighter. But really good, slightly understable, throw it hard, throw it smooth. Overall just pretty straight to slightly understable flight. Here I have my 200 plastic PA3. That's super duper soft, really gummy, just hits the ground and sticks really, really well. It's very well seasoned, as you can see. Had a lot of good throws with this disc. Probably my most trustworthy disc in my bag. I use this quite a lot for like anywhere from 200 to 280. Just throw it hard, throw it smooth. I can really just manipulate this disc however I want to. Sometimes I'll use it for, sketchy putts where I need it to kind of sit and not really roll away if the basket's on like a side hill or has water behind it, stuff like that. But really trustworthy, good disc. Next, we have a 500 plastic PA1. This is just my really straight putter. It doesn't really have a whole lot of movement to it. I can hit it really hard on just a flat release angle, super straight flyer. It fights the wind a little bit, It still has a tiny bit of fade at the end. It's still a PA1, but at high speeds, it really gets a much straighter flight than most other PA1s. Really not one that I use a whole lot, but when I use it, it usually flies pretty well. A big workhorse in my bag, got the ProFlex P Model S. It's got a nice, slightly overstable flight. I can throw this fan grip, power grip. Maybe if I got like just a really short little touchy sidearm, can flick it flat and it'll go decently straight with a bit of fade. But good wind fighter. It's not stupid overstable, I can throw it hard, flat, maybe on a bit of ante, it'll flex out of it. It's overstable, but with good glide. Now this one's a bit of a specialty disc. I have another P Model S, but this one is actually 150 grams and has an FX2 stamp, which is pretty neat. This one, kind of in the bag just for fun. I don't know, it's got good glide to it. I don't use it a whole lot, but I've hit a couple throw-ins with it. You can just kind of toss it up, short range, and it'll stay in the air a lot because it's that lighter weight. But still, honestly, has some really good stability. I can throw this hard if I want to, and it will not turn over. But not the best wind fighter in the bag. So the last putter that I have is the Color Glow 400 PA1s. These things are ridiculously overstable. I use this a lot to complement some of the other more overstable approach discs and ranges in my bag. Just a little bit slower speed, no glide, can wrench this thing over on backhands, forehands, Sometimes it's just really windy and you need that super overstable, slow speed disc in your bag, something that's not gonna do much but fade and just get to the ground really fast. So really reliable disc. So now we're on to the approach discs. I have this 300 Glow A2 and it's seen better days. It's pretty warped. It's really flippy for an A2, but I don't know why, I just love the feel of like a really beat up and warped base plastic disc. I feel like I have a lot of control with it, and I feel like I know it more personally, if that makes any sense. This disc is mostly a sidearm disc. It gets just a little bit of flip up and then fade and just doesn't really go anywhere. This plastic really sits well on the ground, and I like a disc that I can really play the ground play, especially playing in the woods where you play a lot of the slide off like pine needles and dirt and such. I really need to know like what my disc is going to do when it hits the ground. So now we have a special blend A2, the Gannon Burr Open at Austin Champion stamp. Much more normal A2. It's just really overstable. You can throw it on flex lines, spike hyzers, trust in the wind. It's just going to go to the left and hyzer. And for my last approach disc, I have a 750 Glow A5. This disc is one that I use a lot for sidearm approaches. I almost only use it for sidearms. I can just really trust it on a flat release at any power and just know it's gonna go fairly straight at the beginning and just get a gentle fade to the right. Super reliable. I know this disc really, really well. It's been in my bag a pretty long time. It's been in my bag since Jonesboro. Got a few aces with it, you know, it's just one of those discs. And gotta love the Mario. Now on to the mid-ranges. I don't got a whole lot of mid-ranges, but I use the few that I have quite a lot. Starting out with the new, kind of similar to my A5. I use them pretty interchangeably. It's just kind of what I'm feeling that day. Maybe a little bit more wind, I'll use this disc, or if I need a little bit of skip, or you know, just whatever I'm feeling really. It's pretty, it complements that disc well. They're decently similar, but still keep it in the bag. Now something a little less overstable, we have the 500 plastic Isaac Robinson Archive. This disc I've been messing around with. It made its way in my bag pretty fast upon release. It's very similar to those old runs of M1s and M2 that Isaac and some of the other guys are throwing. It's a very nice stock overstable mid-range. It can fight the wind pretty well, and overall just reliable disc. It's not my most used mid-range in my bag, but it finds some good use here and there. We got the most used mid-range in my bag here, 750 M2. Really nice, stiff, good feel, pretty flat, maybe a tiny bit of dome. This is by far my favorite mid-range. I don't know what I'd do without this disc. It is pretty flippy for an M2. It was super straight, and I use it so much now. It's just got a little bit of turn for my hyzer release, but this disc, I can throw it in headwinds, and I just have a really good knowing of this disc. I know what release angle to put it on to make it go just dead straight. And it actually goes pretty far for a mid-range. I mean, I can use this up to about 380, and just, I know this disc super well and trust it a lot. It's one of my favorites. And the final mid-range in my bag, I got an old school Proto M4. These red runs were really overstable and nice at first, but beat up to just go really far and hold an angle really well. This is something I'm more gonna pull out in the woods than in the open or in the wind, but it's just a really trustworthy understable mid-range. I can throw it on a good bit of hyzer high and let it turn and just hold the entire way. Really good for turnover shots or really long mid-range shots, stuff like that. Very, very good run of M4. So now we got the real meat of my bag. The most molds that I have are fairway drivers. I am not a huge distance driver guy. I don't know why, but like the feel in my hand just isn't as comfortable as a fairway. So I use a lot of fairways where a lot of people would use a distance driver on a slower speed. First up, I have a 500 plastic Kevin Jones feedback with Bruce Lee on it. I don't know why. My dad just dyed it up for me. I think it's cool. But this one's gotten a fair bit of use. It's getting a little bit more to the understable side for a feedback, but it's still got a good bit of bite at the end to it. I really like this for like the pushing hyzer shot. Put it on a good bit of hyzer, throw it hard, it'll flip up and start moving left and just hook at the end. Now we got something real old school, old Page Pierce F3. This one is one that I throw a good bit. It's got just a little bit of turnover on a hyzer-flip, so I can throw it hard and it'll just flip up a little bit and then move to the right gently, fade back at the end. I have another F3 that I use a little bit more, but this one is just a little bit more overstable, complements it whenever there's a little bit of headwind or something like that. And then my baby, the Flippy F3, another old school Page Pierce stamp. This one I use a lot in the woods. It's a good hyzer flip to gentle turnover. If I throw it on a lot of hyzer, I can get it to just go dead straight and kind of just fade at the end. Then we got a old bar stamp 400G F5, actually 169 grams, so it's a little bit on the flippier side. This one doesn't get pulled out a lot. This one's mostly for the more wooded courses, you know, hyzer flip to turn, maybe a roller. Then we got the roller discs. I have a 750 plastic F7. This disc is absolutely money for rollers. I think it's the F7's got to be the best mold in general for rollers. I can hit it flat and low. It'll make it about 150 feet and then hit the ground on a good roller angle with a little bit of cut. Go forever. Or I can lay it down with anhyzer. It'll hit the ground a little bit more flat, curl to the right faster. This is a good get out of jail disc, you know, maybe tomahawks in the woods, you know, overall good utility roller disc. Then we got another F7 in 300 plastic, and it's also 130 grams. This was from the Player Store as a special run they made again, super lightweight. It is ridiculously flippy. It's kind of a trick shot disc, but I use it more than I honestly thought I would. A lot of times when I'm like pinched on the left side of a fairway and have to lead out and throw a tight sidearm turnover, I'll just take this and flick it on hyzer and it'll just immediately flip over into a roller. Overall, this disc is not going to be thrown unless I'm in a bad spot, so hopefully I'm not throwing it a whole lot, but pretty fun to have that one in the bag. I have two H1s, both in 750 plastic. This one's my more overstable, just you got to have that stock, like fast fairway driver, 9-speed in the bag, super overstable, fights the wind really well. Really grippy plastic. I like this even in the rain. I don't really have issues gripping the plastic. And then I have this one with the Jumpman stamp. Always looks cool, just a little bit straighter. They go interchangeably for when I throw them, but I'm usually just throwing this one for a little bit more spike hyzer angles or wind. And then this one gets a little bit more push out of it and get it to go just that little bit farther if need be. Next we have this 400 plastic D2, super pop toppy, very overstable, but still has a lot of glide. This one's usually what I'm pulling out on those more windy days where it's not so extreme, but you still need that like little step up in stability. Or maybe for like flex shots, just kind of bomb it out there and get that full flight angle out of it and get it to go as far as possible. Next we have probably my favorite, most used distance driver, old 400 D1. Pretty overstable, nothing crazy, but I mean I can hit it hard and flat and know it's gonna push really straight, not dump out immediately, but not flip over, and just go to glide and eventually fade at the end. Use this a lot, sidearm or backhand. Just whenever I'm mostly in the open and just need to chip one inbounds down the fairway at 400, 450 feet, I know I can rely on this disc right here. We got this 400G D3 with that Daddy Mac dies on it. I got this from Luke Humphreys, so shout out to him. It's made its way in my bag and I use it a lot for those flippier, more bomber shots or hyzer flips in the woods. This disc has been a great addition, so thanks again to you, Luke. We have the flippiest distance driver in my bag, old 400G D1. It is actually 165 grams, so it's really flippy. Not something I really pull out in the wind or in the open, just whenever I need to throw a lot of hyzer and get it to flip over. If there's a strong tailwind maybe and just trying to like absolutely bomb it as far as I can, this will probably be the disc that I go to. Or like flip up sidearms, because my sidearm has a little bit less power than my backhand. This disc is perfect for that. I can get stand up flat and push, and of course just fade a little bit at the end. I have this first run 500 plastic D2 Pro. They are insane. One of the most overstable discs I've ever thrown. Super like high up and over the top shots. I can throw it on a spike hyzer and it almost flies like a grenade. It won't really glide to the left. It'll just kind of go down. Skip shots, like tight angle, flex sidearm shots, just really mean disc. I mean, if the wind's so stupid that it's like flipping over my most normal overstable distance driver, Might have to pull this out, but I'll be honest, I don't know if wind like that even exists. Okay, my next most overstable distance driver is a 750 plastic X1. Everybody's got to have one in their bag. They are nice, they're pretty overstable, but still have a good bit of glide. They'll actually go somewhere. This one also has gotten a good bit of wear and tear on it, so it's not that usual really overstable X1 flight. I can actually throw it on a hyzer and it'll flip up just a tiny bit, but it'll never really flip over and it'll always fade at the end. This disc is very nice, overstable disc. So thank you guys for watching. That is what is in my bag for the 2023 season. Feeling really confident with these discs, really good. I feel that I can attack any course, whether it's the local tournaments or, you know, top tier majors. I just feel really confident with this new plastic, and it's flying really well, and you can build your bag today at prodigydisc.com.